Conference will now be recorded.
I'd like to open this meeting of the Port Orford City Planning Commission. It's Tuesday, January 13th. It's 5:31 in the afternoon. Roll call. Commissioner Gomes.
Here.
Commissioner Boydston.
Present.
Commissioner Torini.
Present.
Commissioner Thielen is here. Commissioner Lawton said she would be here and maybe she'll join us. We'll make a note if and when she does. Chair comments. I'd like to add a couple items to the agenda, just an update. Commissioner Gomes has been doing some research into compliance with what other towns are doing, and just I thought we'd add on to the agenda towards the end, just to get a brief update on how that's going. And also there's an item to elect a chair. We also need to elect a vice chair and a secretary. That's in our handbook. We need to do that. So we'll do that under item A. There's Commissioner Lawton right now.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Commissioner Lawton arrived at 5:34.
And then I also just wanted to make a comment. I had a senior moment this month and thought that my term was up, but it's not up till next year in January. So I just wanted to remind everyone to pay attention to that. If you like being on the commission, you want to keep serving, I hope you'll put in another application when your 2 years are up. We have a great commission now, and I hope that everybody's into sticking around. So I don't have a note of when everyone joined. So maybe y'all can take that upon yourselves. Just want to say that. So I'll be here until next year. Public comments on agenda items only. No public comments. Is anyone online?
No one online.
Okay. Oh, well, I've already done the additions to the agenda. So unless someone else has an addition to the agenda, well, let's just do that. Oh, that's Crystal.
No.
Hello, Crystal. Yes, I just opened for business. Oh, okay. So she's waiting to join.
What? That doesn't
Okay,
make sense. I will send her an invite.
thanks. Maybe that link doesn't work.
I'll get that going. In the meantime, we are at additions to the agenda.
Okay, if there's no additions to the agenda, let's just move forward. The minutes, do we have any minutes?
Unfortunately, I thought I would have time to get to them today. I unfortunately did not. So the commission will have 2 sets of minutes next month.
Okay, thank you. Then discussion items, election of a chair for 2026. Anybody want to be chair?
I nominate you.
I'll second that.
Anybody else? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. I would happily do that. Thank you. And thanks for the opportunity to serve. Commissioner Lawton?
Yay or nay?
Yeah, or I think it's acclamation. Let's just do it by acclamation because we don't need to do that. How about a vice chair? Commissioner Gomes is currently the vice chair. I would,
I move to
I nominate.
repeat her service.
okay?
I'm good with that.
Okay, you're good with that? All right, by acclamation? Okay, we're all in favor of that. Secretary, we also need to do a secretary. I think Joseph does a pretty good job.
Except for this month where I don't have the minutes, but up until now, it's usually not been a problem. And if y'all are okay with me keep doing it, I'd be happy to keep doing it.
Okay,
All right,
by acclamation, yes.
all right.
All right, outdoor lighting code. So, um,
Where were we?
I have a copy of the code with me because I've been going through it again and again. We went through it, we read it at our either last meeting or the meeting before we read it. And I don't know if you all have a copy, but I wanted to, the city wants to have a code that's enforceable. And they also want us to deal with holiday lighting. Specifically, they said that. So I would like to, we went through and we read it line by line, basically last time, and I took some notes, which I have. I also got a copy of this from Joseph that is in a Word form, so I can actually modify this now. I can actually make a draft. What I would like to know, and I have some ideas about what I would like to see changed. If members, if y'all have specific things that you think are really important that might help it to be a better code.
Well, didn't we go through it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't bring my,
Did we not go through it last?
we
time-
did go through it.
Time before?
We went to 2 times before. Can we turn up the volume on
Yes.
our? Hello, checking. There, that's better.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that, please?
Didn't we go through the code like 2 meetings ago
We did.
with some ideas or thoughts?
We read through it line by line. Yes.
Did those thoughts get captured?
So shall I just review those things that we brought up at the time? I mean, this is a big document and
I'm just trying to remember, it's been 3 months since we actually met and talked about this, right? So I think it would be good to do a review of it and bring us up to speed.
okay.
I think what we had decided is not to delve too deeply into it until we got direction from the council.
Yeah, and I was originally told that there were probably counselors that didn't want to have major changes to it. And then I've also been told since then that probably major changes might be okay. So I think it's kind of, it's just fallen on us to do this. And so I have a couple things that I've been thinking about. And this was originally, well, I don't know originally, but as conceived as a dark sky ordinance, I think it gets off on the wrong foot with some people. Because I think if we were going to truly make a dark sky ordinance that was compliant with or that was following the dark sky guidelines by the International Dark Sky Association, we would have limits on the amount of light on a piece of property. We would have strict limits on the Kelvin rating of the lights, which are all great ideas, which I think are good ideas. I think that I don't know that is enforceable or that the will of the people would allow that to happen, that it would just be disregarded. I'm just talking now. I'm talking about what I'm thinking.
I think the problem was enforcement, period. How do you, we can come up with all kinds of good ideas, but
Yeah.
until we come up with a way to enforce and.
This is a subset of the enforcement compliance piece.
So who's going to do we need an enforcer, basically.
We need clear standards and we need, instrumentation or something that can, like a radar gun, like they use radar, and radar is, you write a ticket for radar. They say, yeah, we checked out our radar machine in the morning and it worked fine. And then I pulled this guy over at going 55 and a 35.
Right.
And that stands up in court.
Yeah.
So that's just one piece of this.
Can't we have to where you can use your Lux machine? I don't know what, say Lux machine, but there's something that measures Lux.
Yes.
We can go around and do that. I mean, that would
My
be
cell
something.
phone measures foot candles. All cell phones can now do foot candles. That piece is pretty easy.
So, yeah, so I mean, that would be something where a citizen could go and do that for themselves and then go and talk to the powers that be. That might be the ones who would enforce it, or talk to the people who would enforce it. I mean,
Mhm.
in terms of what the chain of command is, for example, and how that could be.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. And maybe the city could have a known instrument.
Yeah, so that it could be double checked against someone's cell phone, because that's always up to debate sometimes.
Yeah.
And then, but then I think maybe one of the things I was thinking is maybe just make a list. So it's not like somebody's running out every single time somebody comes up and says, oh, we have this problem, we have this problem. But make a list monthly, go through, check the list and see, does this make sense to enforce? This makes sense to enforce. Maybe there's a bunch of these same kind of things that want to be enforced. So we could do some kind of tests, see what is the biggest issue that people have with the dark skies and light, to figure what this actually is based on. I mean, I don't know how you would put something out like that, but somehow get the word out to the city, to residents, is that could happen. I don't know, just an idea.
That sounds like a subset of the overall enforcement piece.
Exactly.
I want to get the specifics of what is required. So for example, in some of these documents so I just printed out some things from different codes. And right now we have a 0.2 foot candle requirement for light trespass. Other towns have one for residential, they have one for commercial, and we have one for industrial. Industrial, I think, is 5, and commercial is 3 or 2, and they sometimes 1 or 0.5 to 2. It's some for that. So I think one of the things that I think could be useful would be to have different requirements for different properties. If you're in a commercial zone, you're next to the gas station, I'm afraid that's going to necessarily, it's going to be different than if you're on some back street in R1. Just the way it is.
Seems like we talked about that last time,
Did we?
last fall.
Yeah, it's been a while. But I think that one of the keys is an enforceable property line light trespass. And I think that is a lot clearer and a lot easier to understand than using the word dark sky.
Mhm.
The dark sky kind of, we're saving the birds, we're doing that. I mean, it goes into a lot of stuff, which I'm all in favor of. But when the boots are on the ground and we're actually trying to get something that is going to help, because right now, I don't think there's been, in 4 years, I don't think there's been any enforcement of this code. It just
Wasn't there a 5-year moratorium until that?
Well,
enforcement
there is, and that will be up in August. But still, supposedly there was a certain period of time, 18 months, I think there was, that a person had to modify their light to come into compliance. And But the real cutoff is going to be in August. So one of the things I'm thinking about is if we were to change some of these things, I don't want to wait another 5 years. What I'm hoping is that the things and I don't know how this works, but if you have an ordinance and then you modify the ordinance and you leave some of the things in it, I'm hoping that you don't have to.
It would be, at least for our code, it's standard 30 days after it's passed that it comes into effect.
Right.
The 5-year would have been a special one just for dark sky.
Okay. So even, I mean, that was just to be nice.
Yeah.
It's,
And even then, to go back to something you said, we've had one instance of, we have received a dark sky complaint and an officer went out at night and checked the light level and found that it wasn't overly bright. So that's all that came about of it. But, if
so
it-
there was an action.
How did he measure overly bright?
um,
Because trespass onto your property of light.
So this was a public light coming from a public parking lot, and he went out there and measured the amount of light coming off of the new structure. I remember this was the bottle drop at Ray's that was approved by this commission last year.
Oh.
Someone thought the lights on it were too bright, so he went out at night and said that no, that light is within our dark sky ordinance. If it hadn't, then we would have, notified Ray's or the contractor and let them know that light wasn't what we agreed on and given them time to fix it before we would have actually cited them.
Okay, so our police force is willing to use some instrumentation
Mhm.
to determine this. So that's a good piece of information for me.
And I just only brought it up because you said you didn't think that it
Yeah.
had been done, and
So
that's
that's
the one
good.
time I know that it's been done.
I'm glad to know that. So I think that, so in my mind, the code should hinge on a few important points. And I think light trespass on a private property is a huge and non-negotiable quality. And all of the codes basically have it. All the newer codes have a light trespass level. So I don't know that we want to discuss what those levels should be right now, but that's one of the gold standard things that I think we need to have.
So, I keep coming up with this deal where you go back, is it retro? So let's say somebody built an 8-foot high fence in front of their house, which it's only supposed to be a 6-foot high fence.
Right.
And they did it 10 years ago. So now you're going to come back and tell this person he has to cut his fence down by 2 feet? Is that kind of like, does that play into the whole lighting thing as well? You have to go
Grandfathered in.
and change your lights to meet the new code.
Well, basically the code has been in place for 5 years. So we're not going to change that aspect of it. Wouldn't change. But the difference between a fence and light trespass is affecting me. Fence doesn't affect me, but this is a citizens' rights. This is a we have a supposedly a free country where we can do anything we want unless we infringe on somebody else's right to do what they want.
Mhm.
That's why I think that's why I'd like to approach it from that point rather than that light's too bright, so we're gonna I don't like it.
Yeah.
But
No, I see what you're saying, but there are lights out there that have been obviously kind of like street lights that don't meet the code, the lighting code,
right,
and
private street lights.
they might have been there 20 years.
Right.
And so what are you going to do? Go tell them they have to change their bulb? Or do you tell them they have to change their bulb when the existing one, or change your fixture when the existing one has to be replaced?
So here's the piece go ahead.
Was there any kind of notice that went out when the ordinance got passed? I mean, do people even have a clue this is going on and that there was an opportunity for them to change things?
Yeah, it went on for a long period of time, but a lot of people don't know about it, I'm sure.
And so that, at that point, would they have had a chance to, you know, change their bulb because I mean, isn't that the whole point of the 5 years and was to give people that opportunity to change?
Right, that's right. But
I mean, it sounds like it's complicated because he brings up a good point.
So could you put it in your monthly water bill? A reminder.
Yeah.
Of the city
should
code.
be on
Another thing
Facebook.
they will ignore. Sorry.
Well, especially ahead of August, if you did one now, you're giving them plenty, normally it's a month after something's enacted, right? This would be giving plenty of time in advance too, to say, just remember.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there needs to be constant education.
Right.
So the issue with the lights, and so as I'm kind of looking at this, I'm thinking, you know, maybe it's not so important how much light, what size of the bulb on a person's property is, as long as it's fully shielded and it doesn't go onto my property.
Mhm.
That's kind of what I'm thinking now. So that would not be a dark sky type.
Well, I'm going to argue against that actually, because we are on a flyway for migratory birds, and lights at night confuse them and send them in wrong directions. So it is important. It's not just
It is
whether
important.
somebody else is it's important for where we live. We live in an area that we are stewards of. And part of that is having an ordinance that respects the wildlife that need dark skies.
Right. And if I think about what might distract a bird, I would think that a point of light would be the most distracting thing.
Right. So if you have a shield, you're saying if you have a shielded light.
So
which
at
there's a
this
whole-
time,
There's a whole slew of dark sky compliant light fixtures out there.
yeah, so the code as it is still, as it is written now, is that full cutoff fixtures are required. A full cutoff fixture means no light goes above horizontal. If we had that, I think the birds would be a lot happier
Yes.
than, and if we had that and still there were bright lights on people's property that wasn't going anywhere else, it seems that the birds would be in a better shape than they are now.
Well, it's all scientifically been looked at already. I don't have it in front of me this time, but yeah, it's probably in that dark skies ordinance.
For a reason.
For a reason,
I
right?
get that. I get it. And I think my feeling is there have to be trade-offs. In order to get something, like, so for example, my neighbor has really bright lights that are not compliant. They're not 2,700 Kelvin. They're probably 5,000. They're probably 6,000 Kelvin. If they were just shining on his property, you know, do your thing. But if they were 3,000 Kelvin or 2,700 Kelvin and they were shining in my window, I would not like that. So that's
I would like to make sure our ordinance reflects a concern for the birds, not just humans.
yeah.
Um,
And I think full cutoff does. Go ahead.
we don't have an actual definition of shielding. We just use the word, but we have no definition for it. What do
There's
we
not?
mean by shielding?
There probably is,
I didn't see it.
you would think in the National Dark Sky
Is it in the
would have that.
paperwork here? I didn't see it.
Shield or shielding means an opaque material or device that is attached to a lighting fixture to prevent light from being admitted in certain directions. I believe that what we're looking for is full cutoff. Fully shielded means a fixture that allows no emission of light above the horizontal plane. So fully shielded, that's what.
Okay, where was that in the paperwork here? I didn't come.
So that's in our code.
Oh, okay,
That's in our code. That's
Okay.
in your book.
got it.
Full cutoff, same thing. Full cutoff means zero radiation of light above the horizontal plane or a light fixture designed, constructed, or installed so that the lighting elements, lamps, or bulbs are not exposed to normal view by motorists or pedestrians or from adjacent or nearby properties. This stuff is already in our code. Fully shielded means a fixture that allows no emission of light above the horizontal plane. For the purpose of this chapter, full cutoff fixtures are considered fully shielded. And every outdoor lighting code says this. This is not new.
And I will say, the subdivision that's going in across the street from me, their lights are all down lights,
Okay,
so
which is
they're,
what they should be.
Yeah, yeah.
And spotlights are supposed to be turned down.
they are aimed down. They have them in their soffits and they're all.
The other part of the dark sky, when they talk about the birds, is an education piece, which is just turn off lights at between 7 p.m. and 6 a.m. So I forget the time. That aren't necessary. And it's not something that's enforceable. It's more of an education piece.
Right.
That if we're gonna, when we update this, that we can include in our education.
Right. And another piece of education is also that if you have a higher Kelvin light that is fully shielded, that's shining on your property, and it's kind of some glare shining off your buildings and stuff, that if someone was not able to meet say it was 0.2 foot candles from the adjacent property, if they were not able to meet that the glare, so higher intensity lights appear to be brighter than higher Kelvin lights appear to be brighter than low Kelvin lights. So that can be an information piece also, that turn your Kelvins down and then your neighbors won't complain. But that's an education piece.
So I got another. When a piece of property sells or transfers ownership, I wonder if the new buyer is aware of these codes. Is there a way that can be put into the county?
County
We talked
doesn't
about
really
that.
deal with that stuff.
Well, when the deed changes, so how does say a new person moves here from a big city and they want a bunch of lights and they're not aware of the code. But when the property sells, there could be a way to get that into the deed somehow, maybe, I'm wondering.
I just bought a piece of property here, well, that's 6 years ago, and sold my house. And there's nothing, you go through a realtor, you go through the bank,
Right.
but you don't even do anything with the county. Or the city.
Well, the deed rests in the county.
Yeah, but
County
we're
has-
not, I don't think we're gonna stick anything in any deeds.
So how does a person know when they buy a piece of property and they're not aware of the dark sky?
Education.
Yeah, that's unfortunately it, is they kind of just have to educate themselves, and sometimes it's just a matter of they do something wrong and then they
I see Crystal is with us, and I think, did I see your hand up, Crystal? And thank you for joining us.
yes.
Yeah. After Joseph gets done, I'll say something. Was Joseph done?
Yes, go ahead, Crystal.
Well, I mean, sometimes you can put stuff in the deeds when you're doing a subdivision or something like that, but you can't go be retroactive into deeds.
Okay. So you can't open a deed up and make it, yeah, okay.
Like a covenant or restrictions,
I mean, you could do it as a covenant or a restriction in a new subdivision and make some requirements or something, but you couldn't. You just can't go backwards, because once they're done, they're done.
But if it's in the code and there's a rule, say someone buys a new house and it's in the code, and we get to the compliance section where we're able to say, go and have a conversation, say, this doesn't meet the code. send a letter, however it's done, they need to fix it,
It
Mhm.
could,
right?
Yes, go ahead, Crystal.
I mean, you could probably put something in the sewer, um, the sewer bills or something like that every once in a while for some of these things, if the city was so inclined. Like a reminder or something like that.
Right.
I think also so the city came up with, we actually have a dark sky brochure or a outdoor lighting brochure that's actually pretty good. I'd like to see that in all of the realtors' offices so that could be a talking point
Good idea.
because it may cause some people to be wary, but it may be very welcome to other people.
Otherwise, I could create a document that's like things to know if you're looking at property in Port Orford and get that on our website and just have it be full of things like dark sky ordinance, typical setbacks, sort of the more common questions I typically get when, people are calling, inquiring about property. I just thought of that right now, so thank you for spurring the idea, Commissioner
Website.
Boydston.
Mhm.
There you go.
Website intro to Port Orford. Okay.
We
Do you
could
have-
actually do maybe a little planning newsletter from time to time.
All right.
Once a year or something like that, that says some of these things that maybe could go in with the sewer bills or something like that.
I would think we could distribute something through the realtors, that they would be a good source for these kinds of handouts.
Mhm.
People buying property all the time.
I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think, I would think that a stack of them on their desk
Mhm.
or in the office would be good.
Mhm.
What
Yeah.
about on the Facebook networks, the same way that the mayor and the city administrator get out news as well?
Uh-huh.
Maybe something
Yeah.
every 3 months or so, you could write something up and put that there. They seem to get a lot of comments. Good way to get some feedback.
No, at the very least, I can take our existing brochure and scan it and get it on our Facebook, and then it's there for anyone who wants to see it in the future. So, thank you for the recommendation,
Do you-
Commissioner Truini.
Do you post on Facebook?
Typically that's used for more, meeting updates or leaks, but, I don't think it would be inappropriate to
No.
get the dark sky ordinance brochure up there by any stretch of the
I
imagination.
don't either. Great. So I've mentioned two things that I think are really important. Full cutoff enforced and light trespass at properties enforced. I also think that the work that was done for public street lighting was really good and should remain in the code. For shielding and the kelvins and the size of the bulbs and so forth. It was all worked out at previous meetings. And so that's three things that I am pretty strong about, or that I think are pretty good ideas. So I'd like to hear from you all if you have.
Can you name the three
Things
again?
you'd
The
like to see.
enforceable property line, the public street, and what was the third one?
I'm sorry.
What were the three things that you said?
I like the street lighting, that very specific street lighting requirements, property line, foot candle requirements for residential, commercial, and industrial. And the other is full shielded.
Okay. we'll show them.
And I think if those could be enforced, I think, so right now we have codes saying that you cannot advertise or buy or have in a store a high intensity light. That is not enforceable.
Right.
And I think when we have things like that in a code, it's a great idea. But when we have things like that, people go, oh, look, that's bullshit. I'm sorry, but and it throws a bad casts a bad light on our code. Also, you can't, I believe that we're limited to the Kelvin rating, which is basically an incandescent light bulb of 2,700 for all the lights on your property outside. That is not doable in this world that we're living in right now. Maybe in a few years it will be, but I think I think the solution is enforcing the full cutoff, is to have some give and take on this. So those are my thoughts. And that's as far as I've gotten, really. And I just wanted to weigh in with those things as ideas.
So,
And what is important and what's not important?
so referring to the cutoff lens, and your neighbor has one that's just blown all over the place. Well, how does your neighbor get the memo, and who's gonna go out there and make a suggestion? Who's gonna do that? I mean, I see we could do the thing with the sewer bill occasionally, but
Well, it's going to be complaint driven.
so a neighbor doesn't want to start a fight with his neighbor, but maybe he contacts the city.
That's the
Right.
compliance part we're going to talk about.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's the compliance piece.
That's
Yeah.
to me, that's the whole thing about this little town is we barely have a police department that can enforce, how are we going to enforce these things?
I think that's going to change. I think there's going to be some changes in enforcement. There's a lot of momentum for that, which takes time. And, but I think that's going to change. At least a certain amount.
I like the idea of sending the little note every so often with the
Mhm.
sewer bill, maybe
Education is,
quarterly or, twice a year or something.
I think there's probably a lot of people that don't care if they have bright lights or not. But there's a lot of people that do care.
Yeah.
So it's just like any other group of people about any other issue, politics or anything else. And so, and that's why the approach, the personal rights approach for me seems to be a powerful one rather than dark sky. Not to say we don't do dark sky, not to say we don't work with that, but I think
If there's a clear violation of the code and there's no complaint, yet we know that it's a clear violation and it's pretty significant, do we want to go in and still enforce in that situation? I mean, if downtown, one of the restaurants decides to have more lighting and just keeps adding and no one is complaining, mostly because it's a commercial district, right? What do we do then?
Well, we
Where
don't do
does
any-
dark sky come into play then?
who is we?
Well, that's what I'm asking. If there's no specific complaint, and maybe we as planning people or city people know that it's a violation and know that it is against our dark sky intents, do we do anything then? Where there's not a complaint, but it's clear that there's a violation and a significant one.
I think that there's a level of immediacy and a level of
Tolerance?
I mean, if somebody doesn't think it's right, then they should complain. I don't think, and if the police force feels that it's a complaint, I'm not sure that our police force is too concerned about too bright of lights in general. So I wouldn't just imagine they would go and take it upon themselves to enforce that. But city, they are responsible as employees of the city to enforce the ordinances of the city.
Most cities are complaint-driven, complaint-based, because they just don't have the money for
Yeah.
code officers to go out and look for things. So being complaint-driven is very normal.
So as a citizen, so you say we, so you as a citizen
Citizen.
could complain.
And I would have standing for 3 blocks away, someone has a light or two
That
that
I
are too
don't know.
bright. Yeah, see, that
It's
raises
against
the
the
issue of
code, so
who
if-
has standing to make those complaints.
So again, I think we're getting into the enforcement.
Yeah.
But I think
Mhm.
every member of the public has a right to make a complaint to the city.
Yeah, I
Um,
think.
And we should have a process for that. But also, if we have the measurable, this is what too bright means, you make a complaint, whoever, whether it's the police department or whoever is responsible for going out and measuring that and determining whether it meets the definition of too bright or not, and then begins enforcement action. So it really is a matter of having our processes and procedures set up properly so that anyone can make a complaint. If it's impacting your quality of life and you believe it's against the city's code, then the city's responsible for looking into that if we have that process set up.
Can I ask, I don't know how this fits in the conversation, but like, say I complain about somebody's light and then they turn around and go, well, what about that light over there? No one's complaining about that. I mean, the tit for tat thing, I was wondering, why am I being asked to enforce something when I see somebody across town's not being enforced to ask something?
I think that's the same, that's not our code. We can't deal with that. That's
what I'm
an
wondering
enforcement.
about.
There
Well,
hasn't been a
it's a
complaint.
subset of the enforcement piece that is, we're going to be, this is just the start of this whole thing.
Okay, so
This is a subset of what we're going to be really doing, not really doing, because we're really doing this, but we're going to be in that very area. Trust me.
Okay, it seems
Right
like
now, I'd like
a bag of
to
Bobcats.
know I'd like to have the
Okay.
the
what-
enforceable,
We want enforced.
the enforcement pieces, the technical pieces in place so that decisions can be made whether there is an offense or not. Not how it's going to get enforced or whether it's going to get enforced. Another one that I've noticed in these codes is that the equivalent of a 60-watt light bulb, I believe 2700 kelvins or something, need not be shielded. That's like your door light. But every other light, I believe, is supposed to be. So that would be an exception. The other exception, and this is the other piece that the city has asked us to do, is holiday lighting. And I looked online about holiday lighting, and there's various ways that they deal with it. But the National Electrical Code actually limits temporary lighting, that's what that's called, to 90 days.
That's, I think, what we came to last time we were discussing it.
Is it?
I think because in our current code, it's limited to like November, December, and January. But then we discussed Halloween lighting. So we were like, okay, well, what if we change it to be, you can have decorative lighting for a period not to exceed 3 months. In this case, that would be the 90 days.
Yeah. Okay. So that would solve that. Well, we can't allow it longer than that by the National Electrical Code.
Yeah. And, I think that that's fairly reasonable, as much as I would love it to be Halloween or, Christmas every day. I think most people will agree that, you want to take your lights down or at least turn them off when it's no longer the holiday season.
Well, it had it in this information. I was trying to find it where it was just that they talked about between November 30th and January 30th, something like that. They referenced it in here, that those were the times you could have your holiday lights up. But after that, you couldn't have it out.
Some people
Somewhere
like
in
to put
here.
up twinkle lights all the time. Is that considered holiday lighting?
Yeah, that's like little festoon lighting, the string lighting. Yeah, that's another interesting.
But typically they don't exceed the
Right.
lumens. I mean, if you had a string of colored lights around the back of your house, it's not,
I have another neighbor that had them strung on his driveway that were pretty bright.
Yeah.
A whole string of them. It's like, I try to go out and look at the stars. It's like,
yeah, there are some that are just full on
yeah.
big bulbs. And I guess that's holiday lighting, but
But that's the thing, is like there's holiday lighting, but then there's just, people take
yeah.
lights to
Yeah.
put up all year. So I think we talk about that needs.
Yeah, we need to,
Decorative lighting.
we need to address that.
Because
Not-
people have
not-
a string of white lights all the time.
But not being too aggressive, like, you know, I'm not anti-twinkle light. I actually love a good twinkle light, but how much they shine and not to impact anyone else's property.
I don't know whether that was addressed in any of these ones that I did, that I sent.
Yeah,
Um,
it was in one of
But
these.
let's just review let's just review the handout the handouts that you have in front of you, because
I don't have one.
I want to just go through them again. They're on the table there.
The entire thing,
The entire thing?
that's a lot.
That's a lot.
I don't think so.
There's what, 10 pages?
I was thinking like, I was just looking at the page 5 with the applicabilities and the exemptions and then general standards.
Yeah, because going into the whole details on lumens and luxes.
No, but no, this is just for reference.
Yeah, you can take it.
This is, we don't need to go through all this, but there were some pieces in this that were
5, 6.
on page 5, general standards.
Yeah, I mean, exemptions are not,
Yeah, like look at 040 on page 5. Outdoor lighting fixtures and accent lighting must be shielded and aimed downward. Must be installed at a minimum height that's necessary. The cutoff angle does not allow direct lighting of an adjacent property at a level exceeding 1/10 foot candles at 25 feet from the light source. This is just an example of the kind of things that they have in the codes. These are recognizable, measurable standards, which I think are good. All trespass lighting.
we didn't
I
really
like-
touch upon the motion activated security lights.
Mhm.
Must not be triggered by motion on adjacent properties or the street.
Yeah,
That's
because
awesome.
it is awesome. And that would that be something that we could include in high priority enforceable, in terms of the.
Are you
bullet
calling
points?
that a high priority? I mean, I want to get our
Not-
ideas out.
Not for me, but I could see it being a problem if I'm a neighbor and it keeps going on and off.
Yeah,
and on
I
and
think
off.
it's a high
Every time a
priority.
deer goes by,
Yeah, every time a deer goes by, et cetera, et
can't
cetera. That's
stop that.
That's
Yeah.
perfect.
I mean, if
good.
you could say my neighbor's movement on my neighbor's property should not set off
No,
my motion lights, but you can't say a deer can't shut off
no,
my motion lights, because you can't control that.
you can't control the deer. No, but
We could
But
get
you
My
should-
neighbor,
if you walk on your property, the neighbor's lights shouldn't be going off.
correct,
And when a car goes by, it shouldn't be setting it off.
correct.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah. I mean,
Yes.
The deers are annoying.
And I have that neighbor in my neighborhood.
But they should be shielded and certain, their floodlights, so they can be really bright.
Oh, some of those you get at Costco, those halogen things are boom, and they're just, I don't even know if you can aim them down. They're just straight out.
Yeah, so
Headlights.
this is one of the reasons I printed out this page, was for that one there, you spotted it.
It's a big one.
You get the prize.
Well, I lived in Flagstaff and that was a problem for me.
Shielding, and then the next one, on the next page, which is conformance with applicable codes, I did that for shielding and outdoor lighting standards, just to show that what other towns do, that it's pretty common. No light trespass or light glare.
Mhm.
Flutter spotlights must be aimed no higher than 45 degrees above straight down when the source is visible from any off-site residential property or public roadway.
Well, the other thing is height. You can have a cutoff lens, but one at 8 feet versus one that's at 16 feet.
Right. Well, yeah, and it says
which usually is commercial.
yeah,
But even then, commercial, you have to, I had one where I had to drop the pole down by 4 feet because the light that the electrician put on was upsetting the neighbors.
So this one has existing uses and buildings and did a 10 years from the date of enactment. Ours was 5, right?
Mhm.
So same concept.
yeah. So I did these just for examples. And personally, I like to go out and look at the stars, and I like to look, I have some giant binoculars that I like to look with. And if there's a bit of a glow around, it isn't a big deal. But if there's a light that is shining and you look at it one time, your night vision's gone for a while. And that seems to be covered by all these codes, that point of light is not going to be there.
Any lamp installed on a residential property must be shielded such that the lamp is not directly visible from any other residential
Yes,
property.
that.
That one's key.
Which page was that on?
That's on the last page.
That's probably why I printed that page out.
It's G in the top section.
Gee.
Town of Westport.
G, yes. Yeah, I like that.
I mean, I think that's kind of the key of respecting your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't look up and have to stare into a bulb.
Right.
Mhm.
Item H is common in the dark sky type codes, and I just don't know that that's going to be enforceable. That to limit the total amount of light that they can put on their property.
Well, I don't think having things in there that's you call unenforceable is necessarily a bad idea, because in the future it could become enforceable. Say
Mhm.
town got rich, can hire a code enforcement. To me, you want to make sure you have a code that is right for the city, for the town.
Yeah.
Without being too complex, because
That's what
getting too long, too complex, people aren't gonna.
that's what you keep hearing.
Yeah.
We keep hearing from the
Right.
city council. They don't want it to be complex. They want it to be simple.
Just going back to applicability again, and on number D, we're talking about after a 10-year period that people then have to start
I'm not in favor of
updating and
I'm not in favor of 10 years.
Well, we already did
Well,
5 years.
what I was thinking is, why can't we say that when you purchase a home, when you sell a home and there's a new purchaser, that the new purchaser has
It
to bring
does say that.
the lighting,
This is for existing homes that
right?
they give you certain number of years to come into compliance.
But I didn't see it here. I see
somewhere
10
else.
years.
There's somewhere else where it says, so there's resumption of use after abandonment. So
After abandonment, that's
um,
different. The closest is existing uses and buildings after a period of 10 years from the date of enactment of the code, that any lighting in place prior to the enactment date shall come under the provisions of the code.
that's when they do additions or modifications, and there's like 25%, blah, 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 blah.
But maybe a time where it's possibly even more controllable is when a person sells their home and they know that they have to comply with these ordinances, that they either comply and do it before they sell it, or they have to disclose to the new owner that it has to be done.
Is that legal? Because I like that. I like that concept.
That would be on the, that would be on the OREF disclosure forms that the realtors have.
But
Right,
we
it
would
could-
have to make it our code that when you sell your property,
Mhm.
you have to either make sure all your lights are in compliance with code, or I say just do it. And if it's not, then it gets passed on to the new.
But you're not required to have your house up to any other code.
You do on some, like, CO, you have to put in new CO, carbon monoxide detectors.
When you sell your house?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right, you do.
Have to meet.
I'm just thinking that that would be a way to capture and have owners comply with the lighting ordinance so that they have to either themselves bring it under compliance or under the disclosure, tell the buyers that they're going to have to.
Be required. And then there's a code enforcement piece in there that if they don't come into compliance, then you could, if there's been a complaint, then the city can follow up and.
They can't, but are you saying that they wouldn't be able to sell their house?
Well, no, it's just like the CO2 things. It's just
Mhm.
I'm sorry?
It's like the CO, like you're required to put in,
carbon
Yeah,
dioxide.
That's
whatever.
That's his life and safety. That's
well, but
probably a federal code,
yeah.
at least a state code.
It could be. But it's in those it's in those requirements before you sell your house.
Right.
Or I don't know how you do it so that when you did sell your house, the buyer, that's kind of what I brought up earlier about having, somehow it goes into the county record of deeds.
It's on the real estate form, but I'm not sure. On the real estate form, it asks whether it's there or not. But
Yeah.
when I bought my house, I didn't have any carbon monoxide. I put them in myself.
But I think what we're saying is this would be a way to get more homes in compliance.
Into compliance.
If, when someone buys a home, it starts that 5-year clock or that 10-year clock, whatever it is that's on existing homes not being sold,
Yeah.
it makes it have to get done.
Right.
Why should
And-
they get the grace period when they just bought the new house? The house should be in compliance.
And we would have realtors that could explain that to them. So here we have a method to get those codes, bring them under compliance. The other thing is when people have lights that don't meet code around their house on the exterior, I can think that most of those lights can be readily removed, that they're not as permanent, that it would be a hardship on them.
Right, by changing the fixture, so it's
Yeah.
got to cut off.
Mhm.
Either
Shade.
taking the fixtures off or
Putting
reducing
shields
the
on.
lighting. That would not, I can't think, be a
An
hardship.
onerous
Yes.
requirement. Yeah.
Yeah. But we
Couldn't that
would
be-
have the help of the real estate agents with that then, to bring these under compliance.
But you'll get a real estate agent from Goose Bay or who knows where that has no clue. So somehow they have to have that on their little packet that's.
Mhm.
that
And
they-
who would certify that they've done it?
Can you have it as part of the inspection?
What inspection?
House inspection, when somebody gets their
I
house
didn't have a
inspected?
house
They're
inspection.
not required
Well, you're a
though.
rarity, Greg.
I am very
lot
aware
of
of,
vendors do.
of red tape and what
Inspect
the city
it,
council
so
will
that they
want
know.
and
Yeah.
I want to know
Home
how it
inspector.
works. Like if I say, no, I'm not going
I
to
mean,
do
could just
that,
be
can I
something
still
they
sell
check
my
off
house?
if it's not
If I say I've already done it, who's going to check?
That would be a way.
That's probably between the owner and the purchaser is, as long as the purchaser and the owner know that this is required.
Right, it's an enforcement
It's
tool.
It's
So
up
that
to them.
if it's not fixed before the house is sold, the new owner knows that it needs to come into compliance. It may not come into compliance, they may do nothing, and nobody complains, so it's just gonna be non-compliance. Or somebody could complain and that would give an enforcement tool to then say this needs to be in compliance. When you bought your house and this date or after, it said that you had to be in compliance with the lighting code and it's not, so.
I think that would be a lot easier than having the seller have to do it before. That seems like a really hard thing.
However it's done.
But it would be
tool.
simpler to say, like, well, I don't even think we have an ordinance about low flush toilets. But that should be, we should have low flush toilets and low flush
There is,
shower heads.
it's in the
by a piece of
it's in the
property.
plumbing code.
We've just gone off the rails here.
But,
Let's
where's,
stay with
but where's the
lighting.
enforcement of it, is what I'm saying,
Right.
is how,
Complaint driven,
nobody's checking that stuff.
complaint driven.
It just, I mean,
It's your only option. There's too many things.
Yeah.
So again.
it's a lovely
you gotta just
idea.
Pick a couple things.
Mhm.
And all we're saying on this one is this would
It's
kind of
one
be an
way.
easy way to help with enforcement options if that there was a complaint in the future.
But if if a lender isn't involved, if it's just between the seller and the buyer,
Yeah.
where are they going to even know? Or the buyer, how
It
would,
should be disclosed. It should be disclosed that, well, isn't it disclosed that here's every city you buy a house in has a list of codes that homes need to be in compliance with.
I don't think so. Lenders will do that. Lenders will have a big list of,
Yeah, lenders do.
I mean, just because I'm
Just 'cause-
not aware of the law doesn't mean that I can get away with breaking the law.
well,
So if you buy a house in a city that has codes,
yeah.
you have to follow those codes whether you know them or not. They're the codes of the city.
I guess
It's
that's
the law.
that's a legal question.
It's
So-
just one way. It doesn't answer all,
Yeah, I'm just wondering how it comes,
solve all.
I'm just wondering how it comes about so that the person that buys the house
Mhm.
knows that they got to do this.
Still here, she just turned off the camera.
It would be realtors.
A little
that I
welcome
would-
letter from the city.
It would be through the realtors,
So,
I'm thinking.
so this is an enforcement piece that I'd like to deal with last.
Well, we may need to get a legal opinion on it. It may be more than just enforcement.
Well, it's, yeah, but I'd like to see the standards of what needs to be, what are our standards? What are the city standards for outdoor lighting? That's how it's going to be enforced is another issue.
Yeah.
Really. Right now we have a complaint, it's complaint driven. That doesn't seem to be working. And that seems to be,
We don't really have a system in place for the complaints to go anywhere.
Mhm.
yeah.
So of course it's not working. There's no system.
Right.
Well, supposedly you go to the city and you write a complaint and they follow up on it, but I don't,
But
How
this is not really,
How do they follow up on it?
yeah, it's
Send a
not
letter?
really.
Mhm. I wish that worked because
Yeah.
I know several situations where there's been multiple complaints.
So here's the deal, like we've spent several meetings on this now, talking about this code specifically, and we leave each meeting with, like, well, let's see what it is next time. I think you need to, if there are things in this that you want to update, let's have that redlined that we can go over in our next meeting.
that's my plan.
I don't want to redline it. I want to create the soup here. You know what I
Right.
mean? I don't want to make the sausage here.
Right.
I'd like to get a red line document that we can agree.
I'll do that.
Disagree, suggest additions or whatever on.
I have it in Word now, so I can do that.
Okay.
So I'll do that. So I want to wind this conversation down, but I want to invite Rolly to speak because he's been on this commission. I believe he's made a complaint to the city and you may have some history. And I'd like to get your opinion anyway. Could you use the microphone there so we can all hear you?
If he talks about enforcement, I would like him to be part of that conversation on enforcement because we're kind of,
Is that working?
yes.
Does it translate English to American? Right. First of all, I like your proposed examples that you've put in there. Reference only. Must not let it muddy the water. Keep it simple. I've spoken to several policemen over the last 8 years. They can't have enough light. They hate this.
Yeah.
So we've got to involve the police in the writing of this so they are part of it and feel a responsibility to it. They'll change some of the things you don't like, but once they realize, they don't know what you're trying to do. They don't realize that there isn't less light. It's just light in the right places. They don't realize that. They just see a big light. Yeah.
Everywhere.
The rogues will always find the shadows. The people who come out at 10 o'clock at night don't go across the bloody crossings we've spent thousands on. They avoid the crossings because you can see them. You know, it's a different thing the police have got. Now, I have something else here. To my mind, the enforcement is not your thing. It's the council thing. I believe the planning should pass this back to the council, let them bring it back to you when they can assure you you're not wasting your time, and they will enforce it. I know it's chicken and egg, but you are not. You are responsible to the council, but they shouldn't give you things that they can't be bothered to do or don't want to do.
I will say that they are basically, they've asked us to do this.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. And they asked you to before, and we did it. And they did not enforce it, not once. I passed 6 complaints, not one of them was actioned, not one of them was voted even up or down. I mean, they could have voted and written to me, say, look, we've had a look at it, we don't agree with you. Fair, not a thing, nothing. It does not work. The complaint system doesn't work, and that could be something.
Right, and we're working on that. That's a larger issue.
Now, the other thing I think, and it might be wrong.
Can you get your microphone down a little bit more?
This can only work on a complaint basis. That means that the population need to be fully aware of their rights on light trespass. The more that people are aware of light trespass, the more likely they are to think, oh, I can perhaps do something about that. They'll have a chat with a neighbour, hopefully they'll sort it out. But they need this to fall back on. Now, I've got a light meter. Now, the phones are good as light meters, I agree with you, but it isn't an incident reading. It's influenced by the spot source, and it's a very, very rough approximation. People get dirty lenses, they get all sorts of problems. I've got one, I'll happily give it you. You know, you can have it between you. I'm not using it, it's no use to me.
I was thinking that we would get one, a good one, and donate it to the city, or the city would have one.
You could have this one I've got. It's not a brilliant one.
Okay.
But it's certainly good enough for you to, if you don't want a posse, but you do need a small collection of people who are responsible enough to be sensible when they go out. You want somebody to measure the light, look at it, and like 3 people, for instance, where you come down 2 to 1 or what have you, and say, yes, this is a problem, or no, it isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You need to be able to do it. And I'm happy to volunteer for that, if that's any help.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
I can also, with the aid of camera and a white card, I can also measure the kelvins of a lamp.
The
I can
Kelvin.
measure the Kelvin temperature. So if somebody says, oh no, that's 5,000, that's 2,500, what have you, and you know it isn't, within, say, 200 kelvins, I can measure it for you.
Okay.
Right. That's that. You can have the meter. I'll drop it off any time. I can give it to Stephanie if she can bring it into it, and then you can stick it in the drawer if you want. It's not a very good one, but it'll give you a guide.
Okay, thank you.
I think that's about it. I think I've just about done with that. The filling station is this city's biggest issue at the moment as far as astronomy is concerned.
Say that again?
The filling station.
Chevron.
Chevron, sorry, yeah. When Dollar General came in, roughly the same time as that was done, they did it correctly. All their lights are brilliant. They light the whole car park up. That's it. That's all they need to do. The Chevron, doggedly, I went to the council when that was being rebuilt, and I asked the council to reappraise their lighting. Didn't even come back to me. They totally ignored me. And it was an opportunity to get that done.
Mm-hmm.
It's a disaster, that filling station. It's not needed.
Yeah.
The
And
lights aren't needed.
Even from my house, God knows how many blocks away, when I look south, all I can see is a white haze in the sky.
And when you on a foggy evening from China Mountain, it's just a huge glow over the city.
You can't get away from it. And
Well, the ODOT's a big part of that too.
So that's my suggestion. I think it should be put back to the council for them to assure you that they will definitely, and it might be they that need to include the police, or at least get somebody to come and sit in this meeting with you when you do
Okay,
this.
that's a great
Yeah,
suggestion.
because if you get them on side, they are the ones who are going to have to enforce it.
So one of the counselors went to the mayor and the city administrator and said, I want to have a meeting with the police about about enforcement. How do they enforce? What are they going to enforce? What do they want? And they included me in the meeting also. So I was at that meeting.
Oh, good.
So and that there's going to be more meetings with the police about that. So that's a really great piece to include them with that. If you have any information about lighting and crime,
No.
like I know that glare makes it so you can't see anything, because I know that, true.
Yeah.
But okay, but that's a great suggestion, and
I'm going to let you off of that. I'm sure I've got more, but I've done enough for one now. Right.
well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, all of you. You're doing a good job, I'm sure. It's the first planning meeting I've been in for a long while. So I've got to say, having been let down for 8 years, I sort of like walked away from the whole lot of you. No, nothing disrespectful. It just, nothing gets done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there comes a stage, even I've got the sort of brain that learns eventually. So anyway, I'm going to let you get on with your business. Thank you very much, folks.
Thank you, Rolly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rolly, for the record, what's your last name?
Willis.
Williams?
Yeah,
Willis.
Willis.
Willis, yes.
Bruce. And it's 611 19th.
I knew that. Thank you.
Just across there. Oh, I made me slip. Good night.
Okay. Is there anything more that we need to talk about this? So my plan is to go ahead and make up, read out some stuff and add some stuff, and you guys can just tear it apart. Because it's just like, it's what we do. Or not. Maybe just rubber stamp it. That's
I'd like to like then really get something to pass on to the council, like.
Well, we will at some point we will vote on something, and we will hammer it out and do what we think. And then we will give it to them, and they will do what they want with it. But the simpler it is, the easier it is to understand and to enforce it is where I want to head, and that's what they want to see. So, okay, I'm going to move on. Closing the door on it. So code compliance enforcement. So Commissioner Gomes has been doing some research into other towns and how they do enforcement. Is there anything you'd like to say about that? I just wanted to say that you're doing that, and if there's anything you'd like to.
Yeah, preliminarily, I can say I've spoken, with the planning directors of Bandon, Brookings, and Gold Beach so far. And kind of very interesting conversations. All of them, again, complaint driven, handled in planning.
Planning?
If they have a code enforcement officer, it works with planning.
Interesting.
The most interesting, I think, conversation was Bandon. Their planning director, they're getting ready to do embark on kind of a strategic planning initiative in Bandon. And he's done this in several other cities. He sent me a couple of plans that he thought would be great for Port Orford. In the future, I'd like to talk about that because our strategic plan that I can find online was revised in 2002. So
Our comprehensive plan or
strategic plan.
I don't even know about what that is, what that even is.
The Planning Commission did a strategic plan in March of
Strategic
2002.
plan.
It's on our website.
Was it Crystal had a comment about the strategic plan?
Oh, yes, Crystal, please.
She's muted.
You're still muted.
Can't hear you.
Crystal.
There we go.
Sorry. I worked on that plan for the city of Port Orford in 2001 or 2002. But I've done strategic planning for a lot of organizations and cities throughout my career, and actually did strategic plans for most of the nonprofits and everything in the region. But I feel like we're strapped for time and energy, and that we should be keeping our focus more on what the planning commission is supposed to be doing, because there's a lot. I mean, I'm not against strategic plans, but they have to be in sync with your comprehensive plan, or they're not going to be useful to you. So that's my first comment on that.
Thank you, Crystal.
Okay,
And
so
they're hard. You know, you have to sort yourself out, and unless you're going to have somebody come in and do it with you, which I'd be happy to do, but I don't know if the city wants to pay for that.
no,
because
that's
it's
not what I'm
very-
suggesting. So I'll continue with what I'm presenting and then we can chat.
Yeah,
about
I'm sorry.
He was just saying that he believes that good code enforcement is tied to an updated, good strategic plan.
Okay.
And I do agree with that, but I also understand how much work can go into a strategic plan, and that's not likely. So get that completely. The idea also, though, is that it involves the public in having some town hall type meetings and people get involved, in which I think is important for us. Would be good to have public input on some of the stuff that we're doing. Anyways, but the biggest thing that he suggested, especially with minimal amount of resources, is to identify, your top 3 biggest violations that you'd like to fix in the community and focus on that.
Yep.
To start with. There may
Prioritize.
be our whole entire code everyone's violating. We're not going to get to it all. So identify, here's the top 3. If it's lights, it's overnight camping on streets, or whatever they end up being. And then focus on that. And then have this complaint-driven process, which is really important to identify, not just go to your website and submit the complaint, but really be clear on where does it go from there. That's when we work with the police department. We know that it goes from here to this person, and this person works with the police department. Do we get volunteers? Perhaps that can help with this process, like Rolly was saying. There's a lot of different options. So I'll put the thoughts down in one place and share with you guys.
Oh, thanks.
But the conversations are interesting. They're small and have limited resources too. We're just smaller. And the planning director in Bandon was just really helpful, and even offered to have a chat with us if we wanted.
Great. Thank you for that update. Yeah. Yeah. Sounds like that's good information.
So I'll put the thoughts down that we can share, and then I know when you and I talked about doing this research, the thought was to talk with the police department in terms of complaints and how to follow up, and the other thing from all of them, especially Bandon, is focusing more on the proactive educational approach than the stick, the carrot or the stick. And, in his mind, and especially sending out letters, while we may have to do it legally, it's not the best way to get people to comply, because it ticks them off, or, a person having a conversation works a lot better
Ah, interesting.
than a letter coming in the mail.
And a letter is always possible.
Right. So that's just when we develop the process. Let's be really careful how we do that, and
Excuse me.
see if we can focus on education too. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's see. RV park update.
So this is the RV park up on Madrona. The owner has completely demolished the secondary structure, so he's reached the minimum needed development for substantial construction. So he's in the clear to continue his project. And that is about the extent of the update that I'm aware of, unless Crystal has anything to add.
I did talk to the owner yesterday. Can you hear me? No.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And he said that he's got the RV park into compliance as far as he knows, and that he also said that he had been talking with Joseph.
Mhm.
And he says it's ready for occupancy, and he just doesn't have any occupants yet. So he says he's being picky on who can go in there because he spent a lot of money and he doesn't want to just have a junky place. So that's all I can add. And I do want to apologize for breaking into your report earlier. Thank you.
Unnecessary.
In that case, I'll make sure to drive by there tomorrow and see if it looks good to me and see if I notice anything, out of place.
Yeah, I thought maybe, Joseph, I thought maybe we needed to have some kind of a checkoff, and I knew that I hadn't seen that, and I didn't know if you'd seen it and you were busy, and so maybe that is something we need to do is take the stuff on the list and make sure that it's all into compliance and actually just say when we've reached compliance with everything.
Yeah, I'll make a note and try and get to it hopefully this week. I doubt it, so hopefully it'll be on my agenda for next week. But I will say that from my experience working with the owner, Mr. Clark, he did a pretty good job throughout the process of keeping in contact with Crystal and I and making sure he was doing everything right. So I'm at least hopeful in that regard.
Me too. I felt like he was trying to keep with us, and that's the only reason, because you don't usually call somebody to make sure that they finish their job. But that was, I thought he would want us to do that. So I did.
I think it'd be really important to check, see if the roadway is wide enough for
The fire
fire
truck,
engine and all that stuff. Yeah, the 20 feet minimum and all that.
I'll go out there with a tape measure sometime before the next meeting. So that way I can check
Okay.
off some of those bigger concerns.
All right. Do we have any planning clearances since September, October?
So kind of like the minutes,
So,
I thought I was going to be able to compile a list of this sometime today, but then I started getting sidetracked with other things that were sort of dangling out and required my attention. So I will get that full report sent to the commissioners as soon as I can, and I'll be able to report it for the public at the next meeting.
So there have been some?
There have been at least 2 or 3.
Okay. All right, next time.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Housing code implementation update.
So our online code provider, eCode 360, I think is what they're called. If you try and accessing them past month and a half, you might notice that our city's been having issues with it. That's because they're going through and updating our code. So it is in process. And once they're done implementing all of the code that I've sent them, we will get packets, or we'll get print offs to put into your binders to replace the outdated code with the new code.
Okay.
I don't have a firm timeline on that, but it has been ongoing now for about a month and a half, so I'm honestly surprised it hasn't been finished yet.
Okay. Thank you. Crystal, do you have any comments?
I don't. I think that the things I wanted to talk about have been discussed.
All right, thank you. How about you, Joseph?
I feel like this was a good first meeting back, and when we get back into the swing of things, I'll actually have minutes for you and
Okay.
be able to get back to my normal functionality.
Planning commissioners, any comments?
Nay.
Mum's the word. I'd like to just thank you all for coming and for putting your mind to this stuff. This is not easy. This is not easy for me. So it's probably not easy for you. Maybe it is. But it's kind of nebulous what we're being asked to do, and nobody wants to touch this stuff. I mean, so you guys are troopers. You're troopers. I appreciate it. All right. Public considerations. Do we have any public that are considering anything?
Other than Mr. Willis, I don't think we've had public engaged, unfortunately, but here's hoping next meeting.
All right. It is now 6:50. This meeting is adjourned.
6:55.
55. 6:55.
All right.
You're fired.
Yeah, thank you.
You just